Hello, David Zritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. I have a very exciting conversation, and it's incredibly topical because, whoa, have we been through a journey as far as the sound, the music, and the potential composer of No Time to Die. And, it's interesting. There's been a lot of discussions, but as soon as I knew that I wanted to talk about this publicly, there was only one person that I could call, and that's this gentleman, John Williams. When I think music of Bond and soundtrack, it sounds like a Bond commercial. There's only one name when you think of it's John Williams of James Bond radio fame, but also fame to yourself. John, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. And you're absolutely right. What a week it's been. I mean, finally, we know who's going to be composing the next film. And it was amazing. People were outspoken at this news. I mean, it wasn't just the usual suspects, posting. I mean, everybody chimed in. It was quite wonderful.
It was. And by the way, there are people that are watching this right now, believe it or not, that do not follow James Bond radio or even the Bond Experience. We've got to kind of catch everybody up.
Got it.
But it wasn't too long ago that JBR itself, James Bond Radio, broke some very interesting news. You want to talk about the Dan Romer news?
Yes, it was very interesting. Dan Romer was scheduled to compose the next film. So everyone's knee-jerk reaction to Dan Romer was who. So I dug in per Tom Sears, founder JBR's request, and realized that Dan Romer and Cary Fukunaga had a great working relationship together. Young guy, I thought very well spoken, interesting body of work, varied. Was very excited. We did this episode that I'm actually quite proud of.
I remember it well.
Yeah,
and you were excited about this guy.
I was, and I am, and I'm trying to get some enthusiasm behind this unknown composer. And then minutes later, literally, Tom posted new episode, Dan Romer. Minutes later, there was some information that came towards James Bond Radio, no names mentioned, that said he had been sacked. And it was like, I mean, two story posts next to each other, took the wind right out of my sails. So, there's been a period of flux where no one's really known, what was going to happen, who was going to be next. Everyone was talking about who they wanted. Then, the bomb dropped that Hans Zimmer, one of the greatest composers, if not the greatest film composer alive today, working, will be scoring the next Bond film.
So we don't have to imagine what you feel about Hans Zimmer. You're not on the and by the way, I have to say, before we get into it too, it's the majority, I mean, vast majority, I would say, my gosh, 80 to 85% of the people that have heard about Hans Zimmer have been very positive. It's not like it's overtly negative at all.
No, I haven't really heard anything negative. This is going to make for an interesting discussion. I'm in no way, con Hans Zimmer, but I'm curious to dig in and talk about it.
What I want to do is I want to go through, first of all, Hans Zimmer, a little bit of his work. I want to also talk about Hans Zimmer in the sense of we're excited. What are we excited about? Why are we excited?
Yeah.
What is that based on? What kind of evidence do we have to say, now I can really think about this? And then I also want to and maybe this is what you're insinuating, I want to talk about our concerns. If we wake up in the morning and suddenly, the Hans Zimmer, James Bond, No Time to Die soundtrack, and we put it on and we're like, I was hoping he wouldn't do that. Yeah. What is that? But let's start with Hans Zimmer. And I've got to tell you, and I was excited to tell this story. So Danielle and I saw Hans Zimmer in concert. And oh my gosh, if you think it's good to watch him in a movie where there's visuals, imagine all you're doing is concentrating on his sound and his activity. And what a lot of people don't know is he is a very gregarious individual. In between each song, he talks about the music. I keep calling it songs, but you know what I mean. He talks about the music and the inspiration. He plays lots of instruments. He gets involved. Yeah. He's a personality to himself. And I think that helps to embed in his music. But have you seen him live?
Yeah, yes, I have. I actually saw him. He played Coachella, a big music festival here in California that's quite popular. at the moment. And so I did see him, and it was an interesting night. I mean, it was for me, it was exciting to see that there was a film composer in the Coachella lineup.
That's it. That's
It,
unique.
it is. It was different, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. But what struck me is this guy's a rock star. I mean, he was up there like he was Mick Jagger, Keith Richards. I mean, he was, like you said, gregarious. He is just giving it large.
Yeah.
And it was exciting to see. And I love to see that, we're seeing more of the cinematic films being with live scores. John Williams is always out on the road, which is unbelievable. So for me, as a big soundtrack man, I mean, I'm excited to see that, we can actually go hear this music, this beautiful music live.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's out on the road, his body of work, just the sheer numbers of the amount of soundtracks he's been involved with scoring, it's staggering.
It's staggering. It's something to be reckoned with, because
Yeah.
and you maybe had this occurrence at Coachella, but you probably had too much peyote in you. But when I was at the concert, I remember, as well as I know Hans Zimmer, reflecting on, oh my gosh, that's right, Hans Zimmer did this and he did
Yeah.
that, and he did like Thelma and Louise, and he did small movies and big movies, and some movies, quite frankly, I've taken a lot of his soundtracks well before this announcement came, and it was part of my workout routine. Like when I would do running, I would run to like Gladiator and Crimson Tide and some
Yeah.
of these military, like action-oriented things. But to look at his body of work is just truly amazing. What are some of your favorites?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to tell you a story, and let me finish the story before, because it's going to start
Yeah.
out a little weird. But I found out about Hans Zimmer because I was in bed, and I found out because of you. I woke
John,
up.
we weren't supposed to mention that.
I
It was a
woke up.
one-time thing after Coachella, and I do regret it.
Danielle's not listening. I woke up and I grabbed my phone in bed, and I opened it up, and Instagram popped up, and the first thing I saw was your post. And I immediately went, wow. So I found out about it, Pacific Coast time, because of seeing your post. That
Wow.
was it. That was the initial. Somebody, anyway, I can't talk about that. The night before, someone put something in my ear, but yeah.
What was
So,
your initial first Rorschach reaction? Is it
uh,
elation? Is it concern?
you know what? It was very neutral. I went,
Hmm.
okay. I wasn't like, yes, like I would have been had it been David Arnold, you
Yeah.
know?
And we're going to
Uh,
talk about that.
yes, I'm sure we'll get to that. So I was excited. But what I did is, after I saw your post, got out of bed, poured some coffee, I went over to the Amazon Unlimited Music app, typed in Hans Zimmer, and the first thing I did is put on the Crimson Tide soundtrack, because I remember enjoying that. And because you mentioned that in the
Highlight that.
body of your post, I woke up first thing and put that on. And as I was sort of making breakfast, getting ready to work out, I went, man, this sounds phenomenal. The way that he blends the classical orchestration and
And it
the, I guess,
builds,
sonic.
and it builds
Yeah.
with you. And what I love, and the reason I have to tell you, the reason I even highlighted that is there were a few people that were saying, oh no, electronic synth and, banging, are we having another Eric Serra, situation? I said, hold on, guys. This guy does passionate, emotional, orchestrated, big music, and
Yeah.
it can take you on a journey, and that was one I thought it was unique, because it's not the usual Batman, it's not the usual
Yeah.
Gladiator, it's something a little bit different.
Yeah, I think I had too much of the Batman engraved in my head, and when I, opened up the app and I saw the soundtracks he did, it sort of like cleansed my palate a little bit. Oh
Yeah.
my God, he did this one, he did this one, he did this one. Huge fan of the most recent Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack. I thought was phenomenal. And for me, as a fan of cinematic music, Vangelis's original score to Blade Runner is like you take your shoes off in its presence.
Yeah.
It's that good. And the way that he took that sound, made it his own, paid homage to it, incorporated it into his vision for this film, I thought he did beautifully. And that's my hope, is that he's going to go, okay, John Barry, here was a friend of mine. Here was someone I admired. Here was someone who inspired me. I now get to take that and run with it. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
that's what we get,
I think that is I think that is a really good wish, and I think everybody can benefit from it. It's interesting because when I did find out very quickly, like literally every music I've been listening to since the announcement has been Hans Zimmer. I mean, I was listening to, obviously like Dark Knight and
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean. There were little things I discount, like honestly, Man of Steel. No bueno. And
Yeah.
even Wonder Woman, it's like na 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 na. Just not for me. But if you ever
Yeah.
listen to little ones like Thin Red Line, there are some very Barry-like moments. So
Mm.
here's what I'm hoping. I think we all, it's funny, the reason we all gravitate to David Arnold, I believe, is because he took John Barry and he made it his own. But he didn't lose Barry. You still had that
Mm.
Barry essence. I think Zimmer has it without trying to ape it.
Yeah.
I think that he's got that Barry situation going, depending on what you're listening to, though.
Absolutely. And I think you just nailed it. For me, I am happy that so many people enjoy the superhero movies. I feel like I've been eating cotton candy nonstop for a decade with these movies. And so because of his association and work that he's done for those films, my knee-jerk reaction was, God, that's not what I want. You're right. I don't want the Wonder Woman. I don't want the Man of Steel. I don't want Batman. I want it to be distinctly different. I don't want to make those comparisons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it
It's tough,
sex?
though.
Is it okay? We'll wait until this is.
Well, so a couple things that stood out to me when I was doing research for this video, and I was really trying to listen to Zimmer ones that we could maybe recommend to people.
Mhm.
The ones that are like superheroes, or I don't know much about this guy. Obviously, I mentioned Crimson Tide.
Yeah,
I think Gladiator is a very good one because it's
absolutely.
sweeping. And I
Yeah.
think it has down moments and it has up moments.
Mhm.
Another one that I found that I hadn't heard for a while, and it was one of my favorites when it happened, is The Rock. If
Oh,
you,
yes. That is a great soundtrack. Yes,
oh my
absolutely.
gosh, and
Yeah.
even ones like if you have kids in the room, Lion King and Madagascar. The
Yeah.
movie Madagascar has these like really quick sweeping beats that it in an action oriented, and I don't think anybody could argue that Zimmer does action extremely well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to serve it perfectly.
I think you're spot on with the Rock. And I need to go
Right?
back. I think we all need to go back and listen to that. I mean, what did Connery say?
Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
What did Connery say about that film? He was so happy to be able to play James Bond without playing James Bond, is
Yes.
what he told the producers with regards to that. So I think that's a film we all need to go back and revisit and listen to that soundtrack. I think you're right. That's the one that might be closest to what we could get.
Yeah.
But and Tom and I talked about this on our emergency episode. We don't know what we're going to get,
No.
and that's what's so exciting to me. His body of work is so varied and so vast that we really don't. I mean, I am secretly deep down inside saying to myself, please don't let it be superhero-esque. But I don't think we have anything to worry about. I really don't. I mean, to be honest with you, even if it's something that's not my favorite, I'm going to listen to it 1,000 times.
Yeah, and so let's get into some interesting territory. So let's stay on the Zimmer world because we're going to jump to other composers I want to talk about with you in conjunction with this news. So I've just gone over some of the sweeping things that I really can appreciate with Zimmer, and I'm hopeful for, and I'm looking forward to. And you mentioned the Barry essence, etc. No doubt. What are some of the things at the end of the day, just not they don't take over your thoughts, but then maybe they're scratching at you like, ooh, I hope he doesn't do this. If you want, I could start, but I mean,
Please do. Please
all
do.
right.
Yeah.
So Zimmer has, I'll call it a habit. He has a tendency to do these big, like clanging, like someone's like clanging like these, I don't know what they are, like chimes or something like that, or these beats that are just too overwhelming and they take over the song. So you think about John Barry, you would never hear like which I think is a new sound. It's relatively new, like the last 10, 12 years. Barry sounds classic.
Yeah.
And classic never goes out of style.
Yeah.
I think some of Zimmer's stuff, some, not all, some of it looks and sorry, sounds a bit dated. I don't want a Zimmer soundtrack that has momental type things. I'll give you another thing. The Brahm. You know the trailers? They literally call it Brahm. In fact, there's a video that I'll
It's a
probably put
great
at the end of
post.
this,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is the funniest video you've ever seen. I'll send you the link.
I saw
Where
it. Did you post it on Instagram?
oh, I did it. Yeah, I sent it to you. I
Yes,
sent
you
it.
did. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's like if you
Yeah.
want to do a little Brahm, go Brahm. Do a little horn, then go
Yeah.
Brahm. But he has a tendency to do those types of things too. So I'm hoping that he goes somewhere in the middle.
Mm.
Like I don't want Wonder Woman. I don't
Yeah.
want Man of Steel. Yeah, there's a couple of things I want him not to tread on. What
Yeah.
about you?
Well, first off, let me circle back. I know what you mean. God, who am I to criticize Hans Zimmer? But he can be quite heavy-handed, in some of his scores, and that's probably why it lends itself so well to action. Barry, on the other hand, I mean, it couldn't be more organic the way that it flows.
Yeah.
And that probably comes from his jazz background, I imagine. But so I know what you mean. He can be a little heavy-handed, and he can also, there's that sort of dissonant sound that seems to be really popular. I mean, Dunkirk, which, was a movie. My God, what a movie. And
Yeah.
his score to that is just, I mean, you feel like you're being choked for 2.5 hours. It's incredible.
Not in a good way.
Again, yeah, no. So I'm dying to see what he does. My concern is this. God, again, I feel so bad for saying these things. It just feels like it could be a little vanilla, a little bit middle of the road. And I think one word that always describes Bond to me is sexy. And I think this film, more than ever, with Fukunaga at the helm, and I forget his name, the Swedish DP, this film is going to be ultra stylized and ultra sexy. And the older I get, the more that word changes, sexy, the more that word changes for me, and the more it means to me the older I get. Going back
I think the DP you're thinking of is Linus something.
Yeah, I can't remember his
Linus
name.
Van Pelt? No.
Scandinavian. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
So for me, I want something really sexy. And I don't know if Hans Zimmer overall, if I would categorize his as sexy. And I wonder about like Fukunaga, and I wonder about Zimmerman. Is this going to be, they feel like they're from a new and an older school. And are those two schools going to marry well? I wonder, I was just having this conversation with a fellow JBR fan, James Bond fan, about, does that, we wondered if Fukunaga, how much say-so he had, was this forced on him by the studio, by Eon? Was he able to say, this is who I want? Was it a timing issue? I know.
We'll never know. But I will say, first of all, your concerns are valid. I know you're such a polite, etiquette-oriented gentleman that you're like, who am I to say? But these are our opinions. And one of the things I have heard a lot from people is they have a problem with Hans Zimmer because they don't feel it's music that they can whistle. Like they're not going to walk away going like, Superman theme.
Yeah.
But listen to Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that's a very whistleable tune. I think you, and by the way, music is subjective. There is nothing factual about music. It's emotional based. So someone could listen to Pirates of the Caribbean and go, no, I just hear Wonder Woman clanging. Yeah. So it is interesting to see what level he's going to bring to, and will it be, and you've talked about this on your show, is it going to be a tune that we want to hum and recount to other people? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's hard to come by in this day and age.
It is.
Certainly something that's memorable. I like that though, whistling or humming. Can you do that? Most of the time in this day and age, probably not, right?
Right. Listen to your favorite Bond soundtracks, the ones that you recount that you've talked about on JVR. And it's absolutely, you can hum all those.
Yeah, you really can. So that's a really interesting point. Yeah, I just don't know if he's got it in the sexy department.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that it's going to be, I don't know.
Well, let's
See,
move
he's not my first choice.
let's move to a sexier zone for the sake of you and Coachella.
Okay.
Talk to me, and it's going to be totally theoretical, but I value your theories on this.
Thank you.
Why not David Arnold? What's your speculation?
God, that is a really great question.
It's a big question.
You've done it. It is a big question.
He's well respected by them. He's done other things for them lately. There doesn't seem to be a falling out. He goes to their events. They go to his events. Why not David Arnold?
That's a great question. And I think now more than ever, closing out Daniel's, his run as James Bond. It's a great question. It's a big question, and it deserves a big answer. And considering we're live on the air, you've put me on the spot. I have no idea. It's certainly not political, and I don't think it's financial. I don't think it's a question of availability. I don't think it's a question of availability. He obviously loves the franchise. He was went on the record when Hans Zimmer was announced about how excited he was to go see the film and how he loves the character. God, is it a slap in the face? I mean, to David Arnold not having him back.
I think the perception from other people is, it's a miss, right? It's a missed opportunity. The only thing that I could gravitate to, and again, we're speculating for those that are watching here. This is not based on anything. The only thing I could think of is that Zimmer, there is no doubt, he is marketable. Yeah. He's a John Williams level type individual where people know his Zimmer soundtrack. And if you think beyond the Bond community, our little, hair on the dog, if you will, as some people say.
Money.
Yeah, like if I was marketing a film, if I was Universal or MGM, and I'd be like, we need a big name. The Romer thing was a great experiment. Thanks, Carrie. But no, we're taking our experiment on you. Nobody knows Carrie Fukunaga. You're not Spielberg. We got to go for a big name composer. The music's got to really sell. That's why I actually think the person that sings the song is going to be a well-known individual too. I think it might be wrapped around marketing. And if they got David Arnold, the Bond community would rejoice, but the rest of the world might be like, what's a David Arnold? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is about making money. Rightfully so.
Possible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a music store here in Los Angeles called Amoeba Movies and Music, and it's a city block. It's a massive independent record store. It's phenomenal. If you're ever here, go to Amoeba Music. They have a tremendous soundtrack vinyl section, and then there's a couple of bins where it's done by composers. And if you look at the Hans Zimmer section, it's massive. And I happen to notice it simply because in his section, it's all these lavish box sets. These deluxe editions. And so that tells me that there's a market out there who are buying those. Yeah. And hey, if that's what they're going to do and that's the plan, I'm down for it. I'm sure I'm going to love it no matter what happens. But
because to me, it cannot be money. And I'm going to go on a love fest for a second. To me, from an ability standpoint, the person in my mind, this is David Zaritsky's opinion, 100%, is no door should be opened up until you open David Arnold and he says, no, I can't do it. Yeah. No door. To me, and again, it's not just loyalty or nostalgia for David Arnold. He gets it. And I've always said that fans do the best job in creating the best experiences, whether they be events or products or podcasts. Fans do it the best. He is a fan. Yeah. And that's why he gets it. I think this will be a great opportunity for Hans Zimmer. I'm sure he's very excited to be a part of a Bond film, something different for him. He's never going to be to the level of David Arnold from a fan standpoint.
No, absolutely not, as far as money making. And you know what? Hey, if this does work out and it's a beautiful score, we all fall in love with it, there's a really good chance we're going to be able to hear this score live. If he takes it out on the road, how cool would that be?
That's a great point.
Yeah, So to your point, I think you're right. There's a tremendous marketing opportunity here, and I think they are concerned about ticket sales and appealing to a mass audience, and this definitely is a step in that direction. So we'll see what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, I think we could be in worse hands than Hans Zimmer.
Absolutely. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think we're going to get anything bad. That is for sure.
Yeah. What about Michael Giacchino, The Incredibles? Did you ever hear The Incredibles score?
Oh yeah. Thank you. You had to say what he did first. I love it. And he would have been great.
Yes. That was another one that I thought.
In fact, that was in one of your episodes, I think, where you talked about him and you played
we did
some
a whole
of his
thing.
excerpts.
Yeah.
He didn't even do like a Bond theme or a Bondish theme.
Yeah, he did. He was, they asked him to do John Barry pretty much. And he did a great job. He also stepped in for and did the Rogue One soundtrack. So, he's he has the ability again to step into very large shoes, but that's kind of my dream list. And you know what, honestly, I wrote down 3 names for the Music of Bond podcast that are my dream 3 guests, and David Arnold is in there. So in the off chance the podcast gods allow Tom and I to get an interview with David Arnold, I'm going to ask him.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And maybe he'll give you the exclusive. Who knows?
Right. That's a dream come true. That is a dream come true. Wouldn't that be great? So, but there's a lot to ask David Arnold. I mean, he's contributed so much to us as far as the soundtracks are concerned.
What did you, because we're still on composers and we're name dropping, which is good. I'm going to volunteer something, but I'd like your opinion. So I'll give you a moment or two to think about it. I liked Tom Newman. I liked Newman in Skyfall. I wasn't happy with Spectre. I thought Spectre was leftovers from a refrigerator and lukewarm at that. There you go. I just dropped that grenade.
Listen, I say this all the time. What makes the world great is that we all have different opinions, and we're all entitled to those opinions and respecting.
They're like opinions are like assholes. We all have them, and they all stink.
I love the Thomas Newman scores, and it's matter of fact, just this past weekend, I was doing a lot of hiking in and around, and it was the holidays, and I was just in this mindset. And my friend who was staying with me for a couple of days finally said, we've listened to this soundtrack in the car like 5 times. And I love it. I really love what he did. I don't know how to describe it. I think for me, David, I think you can appreciate this. Like for me, it's a snapshot in my life. The older we get, the older I get as a man, there will be a period that's the Spectre period. And when I listen to that soundtrack, it reminds me of the friendships, where I was at in life professionally, it just reminds me of something. So my take on these soundtracks is really taking me to a place, reminding me of something good. It's the soundtrack of my life in that period. So, are they the best Bond soundtracks? No, but I really got into sort of the spookiness of them. And although you're right, they could sound like leftovers, but I thought it was more of a continuation. He was creating themes that were being carried over from one film to the next. And John Barry did that. So in my mind, and I do not know this, but just because of this is what I want to be true. It wasn't a question of, hey, I don't have enough music, or I've got to take what I've already used. It was more of a creative decision to go, let's carry these themes over as part of the Mendes Newman, films and keep a thread moving, because they are sort of amped up versions in Spectre compared to what they were in Skyfall, where there's more guitar and stuff like that. But I would just ask, keep listening to it.
I'll do it for you. By the way, people of the world, take note. This is 2 gentlemen who disagree with each other, and yet they still love each other. So come on. I mean, this is what the Bond community can disagree and still like each other.
Totally. And most people don't like it, honestly. I mean, I sometimes wonder if I'm just being,
You're the one.
I'm making the conversation interesting, but I really love it.
I'll give it another try.
The more I listen to it, the more I really enjoy it. I mean, I think it's a beautiful piece of music, but I love meeting the Bond fan that does love the soundtrack. And it's very rare that I meet.
Yeah, it's like a baby squirrel. You just don't see them.
Yeah. Real quick, David, did you like Spectre? Are you a fan of that film?
No. So literally today, Joe Darlington and I released a video.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to.
You'll have to watch it.
I will.
It's funny, so it's a
Okay.
nice, relaxing evening dance. But there were some things I really did like about it. I thought the first 75% was actually quite entertaining, and then it just goes south towards the end. But you'll have to watch it.
I will. Everyone go.
It wasn't
watch
my favorite for sure.
Okay.
But it's interesting. So this dovetails into something that I think you'll have fun with because you're a creative individual. I'd like to play a game with you, if we can.
Sure.
You're like, how dare you put me on the spot? It's a very simple game. So Eon calls you, and they say, John, you don't know this, but we've been listening to the JBR radio, of course. I mean, it's such a great podcast. And we love your take on the sound and the way you think about the sound. And so we want to use you as a consultant. And for the movie, No Time to Die, so this would have happened already, what do you want to hear? Like, what are those things? I mean, how much of the Bond theme do you want to hear? And do you want to hear older themes come back? And, paint for us as a Bond fan and aficionado of the music, what would exceed your expectations?
Oh my God.
A little bit of a crystal ball.
So what you're asking me is what based on what's happened, what I'd like to see, what would happen next.
What's your wish? What do you want to hear? Like, Tom Sears, I know, for example, I'll give you an example. So Tom Sears would like Bond to like wipe his brow and you hear the Bond theme.
The Bond theme, yeah.
Where are you with all?
This is why I was really excited about Romer, and this is not going to be in a popular opinion. I want to see them move forward. I think the franchise is at its most interesting when it's moving forward. And I think it's time to move forward, and that includes the sound. One of my concerns with Hans Zimmer is he's going to be one and done, and I'm not thrilled about that. That's not my favorite aspect of the Bond. I like the continuation, as I just talked about, and the Newman scores. So I would like something to be contemporary without being disposable. And not unlike the actors who play Bond, give them a couple of chances. Let the sound evolve. To your point about David Arnold. I mean, my God, they gave him this run of films, and they were all different, but they all, I don't know, let's get someone in here who is going to push the envelope, but keep that signature Barry feel and sound intact. But I want it to move forward. I don't want it to lean too heavy on the past. And I think Dan Romer, I mean, honestly, I wasn't like, oh, Hans Zimmer. I was like, Dan Romer's score was rejected. I've got to get that. Too experimental. Oh, shit. Like, I need to hear that. When is that coming out? Should get Dan Romer on the show. I enjoy that aspect of it. I really do. I enjoy pushing the envelope and new sounds and bring in some fresh blood and then stick with it for a while. I do, and this is going to come again as no surprise. I think whatever the Bond theme is, whoever's the composer is, and whoever the artist that's creating the Bond theme need to work hand in hand. The way that Barry did with Aha or Duran Duran, and really incorporate the sounds of the theme song within the film.
There's been a lack of that, hasn't there?
Big time. I mean, we got it for a second in Spectre when they're on the train. What a great scene. What do we do now or whatever? Yeah. I'd love to see more of that, but I'm definitely on Team Sears. Like, get that Bond theme going, and don't just give it to us when they show us the DB5.
Yeah, stop being so judicious with it. What is with that?
Yeah, and don't tinker with it too much. Now, I think Tomorrow Never Dies is one of the most incredible soundtracks of all time, but that was a little too modern. They pushed it, the Moby version, and I love Moby. Moby's great, but it's a little too. I don't know. It doesn't sound that good today. I think it was really of the moment, and then I don't want to say it became disposable, but it just doesn't sound that great today. So something a little bit more classic with the Bond. Don't get too crazy with the Bond theme.
Yeah.
Like,
and by the way, it's interesting. We spent 35 minutes talking about this so far. We probably should have put a giant asterisk at the beginning of this that, correct me if I'm wrong, there's been no official notice.
No. And during our emergency podcast the other day, Tom and I had to literally confirm that. And given my experience with the Dan Romer episode, where I had to wipe the egg off my face, like I just went through all of that, and he's not on board. Eon has not released a statement yet confirming this. Neither is MGM, Universal, nobody.
Right.
So I'm dying to do a Hans Zimmer episode, but I begged Tom. I said, please don't let me do this until it is official. Yeah. And then I will spend several days of my life in a coffee shop with headphones on, going through these soundtracks, searching for a needle in a haystack that sounds Bondian, and then dissect it and talk about it. But I really am concerned about doing that until we know for sure.
Well, if it becomes official, we're going to look forward to hearing that, because I want to hear you break it down. That's what you do so well.
Thank you. Yeah, I pinch myself, and it's through the show and through the Bond community and whatnot. Like, I've really come to realize and learn about myself really what this music means to me.
Yeah.
And it means so much to me, and I listened to it far too long. Today I was running around and showings and working and errands. And for whatever reason, today I woke up and said, okay, my goal throughout the day, from the gym to the car to going to my next appointment, is I'm going to try to listen to all 4 Craig soundtracks in order.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I mean? So this is how my brain works. I love the music. It relaxes me. It gets me in the mood.
That's so cool. Like, some people are thinking like, all right, I don't want to watch the movies in order, but you say, no, watch the soundtracks in order. See how they evolve.
I just love having it on. It connects me. It's the conduit between me and this fantasy world that I somehow make a reality via the music, the way you do with the clothing and the brands, which, thank you, David. You've really helped me get on board with that. I mean, I have never pre-bought before the movie has come out this much gear in my life.
You poor thing. I've depleted your wallet sufficiently.
I have a checking, a savings, and a Zaritsky account. With the Zaritsky account.
I think in a lot of houses, though, my face is a dartboard. I'm pretty sure.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never owned more sunglasses in my life. I have
many sunglasses.
God, it's great, you know. The music really means a lot to me, and it goes beyond like me just liking that score for that film. And I think that's usually the dialogue I have with a lot of fans who want to talk with me about music. Yeah. It's so much more personal.
I can see that you're extremely authentic about it too, and it makes me feel bad that I'm going to do this, but I would like to end this video with something that you're not going to like, and it's putting you on the spot.
Good.
But it's a mind stretch. It'll exercise your brain. So this last question is going to be: you get a call, and don't recognize it, and you look at it, and you're like, huh. And on the other end is Hans Zimmer. And he says, listen, John, somebody told me to call you. I'm doing this as a favor to somebody. You literally have 15 seconds to ask me only one question. What's the one question right now? And he just called you, so you're not prepared for this. What one question do you ask Hans Zimmer?
What does John Barry mean to you?
Wow, you didn't even hesitate, you animal. What the hell? Wait, so have you imagined this or something? That was too well done.
Well, no, probably. And
he would talk about that too.
I would first say, could we possibly meet? His studio is not too far from where I live.
No, but I think your first question's better, because I think he'll extend the 15 seconds, because he's going to be like,
Yeah.
Oh shit, this isn't a typical journalist question.
Yeah,
Let
I
me.
want to know what John Barry means to me. When we, Richard Kraft, who is the music management company, we got a chance to interview him. He's got a tremendous amount of talent under his umbrella, Kraft and Engel, and it was interesting to hear him talk about other composers talking about John Barry. And I want to know one thing. I want to know what does John Barry mean to Hans Zimmer, and I need to know you're a fan. I need to know that he.
Ooh,
I don't know. There was no falling out. There's no bad blood. Like
like I'm going to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah, like this isn't a paycheck. This isn't. I need to know in this incredible schedule of yours, touring, recording, and all that. You got a month and a half to do this. What does John Barry mean to you, and how is that going to translate?
John, that is masterful. That's like the Socratic method of asking a question that gets more out of your subject. It's like Barbara Walters interview level.
Man, oh boy.
Nicely done, man.
Thank you.
Well, let's stop because we're going to end on a high note because I don't think your next answer would be any better than that.
Yeah, I got nothing left.
You're spent. And anyway, hopefully when this becomes official, we can all look forward to you doing a blowout of Hans Zimmer. Absolutely. And we'll put links up there. But people can find you obviously on James Bond Radio most of the time, right?
Yes. Tom has me on obviously to do the music episodes, roundtables, emergency podcasts. So it's been
you're on
great
Instagram as well.
I am on Instagram, John Arrington Williams. You can find me.
People can stalk you appropriately.
Well, they can. You're going to see Bond and a lot of real estate, and strange food. So
a wonderful mix.
Yeah, I know. What else is there? Bond, strange food, and real estate. I love that. It's going to be the name of my book. So absolutely, come check me out. Say hello. I'm dying to know your thoughts. And it's always great to be here, David. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for getting on and such short notice. We wanted to make this topical. So, folks, this has been John Williams and David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience, and we'll see you all real soon. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.